Good morning and welcome to A Morning Practice. I'm Simon Greer and that's Tom Scott, and we're joined today by Darin Olien. Just as a reminder, the Morning Practice show is an effort we're making to try to contribute in this moment some sense of peace, comfort, positive direction, grounding as we all start our days in this new routine or routineless routine where going to work or taking the kids to school or however we typically started our days isn't what we're doing right now. And we'd always thought that we wanted to do a morning practice show because Tom and I, and you'll learn more about Darin as well, we have morning practices that mean a lot to us and are a huge part of why we feel like we have good days. And so we always wanted to share those and invite other people into it. But then when the virus hit and the schedules went out the window, we thought it was even more important to find a way to offer to people. We're almost agnostic on what the practice is, but more that it's important to start your day by taking a hold of your day, not just reacting to whatever's coming in. And so the spirit of this show is to offer that to people all over the country and around the world to kick off their days and get off on the right foot. So that's the theory behind the morning practice show. And Tom, do you want to say a word about yourself before we introduce Darin?
No, I mean, well, I did it again. I said no and then said something. I would say that this is as necessary as ever for me, for sure. I mean, I go on the roller coasters now in a way I didn't as much before. I go on roller coasters. I'm being figurative when I say that. I'm talking about emotional roller coasters, clarity, presence, all that stuff that you go through. So, I need it right now, for sure.
Great. So Darin, we've had the chance to meet at the Nantucket Project. We've been there together, and so it's nice to see you again. I was just so excited to get to introduce you and say that you're a health and wellness expert who's been coined as a superfood hunter. I just thought that was the most awesome thing. And you've got this 10-day sort of to health diet type plan, and I thought, I'm going to do that after the show. So anyway, we're really excited to have you. I feel like you have an awesome morning routine, morning practice, which we're going to hear about. And we're really thrilled to have you here on the show. And I know you have a lot to offer. So thanks for joining us.
Hey, man, it's great to be here. And any insight or help I can be to people, that's definitely what I'm here for right now.
That's great. Thanks. So the way we start off our show and our morning practices is with gratitude. And so we'll just go around, the three of us, and share something you're feeling grateful for today. Tom, do you want to kick it off? You want me to kick it off?
You mind going? I'm just opening my book.
Yeah, I'll do it. So, Tom and I both write our gratitudes or the things we're grateful for in our journals. I don't know, Darin, how you keep track of the things I love your journal too. So for me, I had an intention yesterday that I wanted to try to be really present with my kids. I was struggling with how we're home all day together, but it's easy to be home together and still distracted, not really present with them. And so I was sitting at the computer typing away, and my daughter asked for help with her math. And I thought, oh, right, this is the moment. So I closed the computer, I walked over and sat down with her, and we did these word problems together. And I had just this feeling of gratitude of like, yes, there's chaos out there, but I can still be a dad who's present with his daughter and help her with her math, and the joy she got in figuring out the problem. I just had like this bubbling up of joy and gratitude for getting to spend that time with her. So that's what I'm feeling grateful for today.
That's awesome.
For me, the word I think is experience. I think it is, but one of the things that's happening right now is if you're in an organization like ours, you have to reinvent everything. Like you've got to reinvent everything, and brains are part of it. It's way more about your energy and your soul, right? And that's really what process is. Process means you must go through unknown peaks and valleys as a path to answers. And I feel lucky that this isn't my first one of these. I mean, it's my first specific one of these, but I've been through calamities on a variety of times. And if you can be grateful for process gets easier. Because if you look at process as process sucks, well, you're making it worse for yourself. The truth is in the process, period. And I'm going through it fast and hard. And I'm glad I just know that little bit. And that's just probably because of age and time, nothing more.
Thanks.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. I think, the things that popped up for me today was clear that the first part of that was bonding, the bonding to friends, the bonding to my dog. And through that is love. And I've gotten to reconnect with people and shared kind of even Zoom casts, even with you guys. The bond that I felt even at Nantucket Project was just monumental. And then just friends that we're constantly communicating with and supporting each other in other ways. And so bond, and through that bond is love. That was just immense to me. And even going to my furry friend, my dog Chaga, just that connection that he looks in my eyes every day, regardless of the situation. We go out, we go for a walk, and I just love that little guy. And especially being alone out in Southern California currently, just having that bond with my furry friend has been huge for me.
Thanks, Darin. Thanks, you guys. I appreciate it. So our flow of our morning practices, we go from gratitude to a brief meditation, and so we're gonna put up a sound bath meditation that people can follow along with, and invite you to sit comfortably. And Tom's gonna turn on the 3-minute led meditation, and we'll all join that, and then we'll come back together.
We're going to start with a brief sound meditation. So just soften your gaze. You can even look down towards the floor. Notice your breath for a moment, anywhere in your body where it's easy for you to notice it. So that could be at the base of the nostrils. It can be gently moving in your chest. You might even feel the breath moving all the way down into your low belly. Allow your attention to float from sound to sound. And all together, I'm going to invite in a long breath through the nose for 4 counts. So breathing in, 2, 3, 4. Exhale through the mouth. Good. One more like that. Breathing in again, 2, 3, 4, and exhale through the mouth. This time, we're going to exhale with a long extended ah. Just on one tone. So your tone might not match mine. So breathing in nice and full. Thank you so much.
Thanks for sitting together, you guys. I'm always struck at the end of a meditation that I think I used to imagine meditation was about like suddenly my mind would be crystal clear and I would see like the full universe or something. And instead what I see is like, wow, my mind is busy. Like there's a lot going on in there. And I think that in a way that is to me, the value has been coming to see that my mind gets really busy when it's quiet, and that I don't have to respond to every crazy thing that races through my mind, and that's what meditation has brought me. And I think I used to think that was just reality, but now I know it's just what occurs in my mind. So anyway, thanks for doing that. We moved from meditation to journaling, and so just going to invite you both to pull out your journal, and I'll time 2 minutes. We're just going to write for 2 minutes. It could be a reflection on yesterday. It could be an intention for today, but just give you a chance to write something, and then we'll share those. So grab your pen and paper and just take 2 minutes. Okay, finish writing your sentence, and we'll come back together. Darin, do you mind sharing something you jotted down in your journal?
Since this is my second wave of journaling today, I've been through a lot of gratitude stuff. I like to start in that way, but what now kind of just popped in was kind of almost a journaling to-do list. And one thing that popped up through a group of my friends was issues with some of the first responders getting food and supplies. And so it was really helping some friends mobilize some of that activity in our local areas. So I really was like touched by that motion that started today. So I made some notes into how I can help support that. And then it was also about some projects that I'm moving forward that the planet really requires. So I'm finding some kind of light in the darkness here about, seeing our systems kind of flutter. And so if there's any way that I can support new technologies getting out there, that's kind of what I've started to work towards. So I wrote a few to-do lists.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Tom?
Yeah, I actually, by the way, 2 minutes is longer than you think, isn't it? I mean, I wrote a lot in 2 minutes. I'm going to repeat my theme. I'm like doing this for the meatheads of the world. I'm a meathead, you know, and I believe in this. I hope other meatheads can believe in it too. And by meathead, I mean like a traditionally bro-ish, knuckleheaded male guy. I don't want to overemphasize that. What I do want to say is that I think some of the language that sits in here can push you away, and I just say, don't let that hold you back. Come on in here. But I wrote a little bit about the process and what I was talking about before, and I think there's magic in process, because it's like that's where the universe is actually speaking. Like if the universe has a language, its language is us interacting with each other in part and finding the new thing that you didn't even know was there, right? So I was kind of writing about those kinds of thoughts.
Great, thanks. Yeah, I was I've been grappling with, I think for myself, these two tendencies I'm feeling in humanity right now. It's like, I hope the truth will be that we come out of this pandemic more open and connected and generous and supportive and interconnected. And I think that's a human instinct, and it's possible. And then there's another instinct that's like, hunker down with my family, you know, provide for my own group, my own small circle of concern. And you know what? It's a scary world out there, and keep your distance. And I think people are tending to write like one narrative or the other. And I actually think they're both human instincts. And I was writing about how it's really up to us to choose which path we end up on, each of us, because it's not a given that we end up in the more scared, protective, because that's not crazy. To be scared and protective is sound judgment today. And there's generous and extending ourselves. And I feel like that's what I was writing about, is I've been struggling with that and feeling the tendency in both directions in myself. So
that's awesome.
I find the journaling really helpful. I just wanted to say, like, we're talking about what we journaled, which is great. We want to offer that to people. I just wanted to take a step back and say, I was reading a little bit about Tim Ferriss and his journaling, and it was interesting, the idea that he quoted Julia Cameron, who's an author, who said that morning pages or morning journaling is like spiritual windshield wipers. It's like you get away the muddy, maddening, confusing thoughts that occupy your mind, and you're able to take control of your day. And it's not that when you write down in your journal your problems or your woes that they get solved, but it's actually that you get them out of here and you put them down here. And to me, I think that's how I'm feeling, is like, there's a lot to worry about. I write it over here, and now I feel more power over my day. Like, I'm driving this day rather than those worries are driving the day. So I think that's one of the gifts that journaling can provide. Like, it's almost illegible because I have terrible handwriting, but like putting it down there means it's not in here. So that's why we journal. And so, as I said at the beginning of the show, we're agnostic in a way on what the morning practices are. We've done gratitude, silence, and journaling, and we'll finish with service. But Darin, you have an amazing morning practice. Like I said before, I feel like I have morning practice envy looking at your morning practice. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want all this. And not that we're all going to be able to do it and put all those pieces together, but I would love for you to, in some detail, really walk us through your practice, because it's amazing. And then I'll ask you some questions about why you pick certain things and all that. But please, it is an inspiration to see how you kick off your day, and would love to hear more about it. I'm sure others would as well.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's funny to write it down because it's so integrated, and I actually then end up forgetting, but it's already just a habit. And that's a beautiful thing about the habits. There's a certain point where you look at it and maybe it feels like it's a lot, but for me, it's so integrated. And so for me, it really starts with the sleep at night. I go to sleep very early, trying to live with that circadian rhythm. So about 8 p.m., that's it. My body's shutting down, my melatonin's kicking in, and I'm falling asleep. And I typically wake up about 4 a.m. I discovered that in college in about 1991, 92, where that precious time where no one else was up, the clarity, the space that I had within my brain to be able to study and focus. And that's been with me literally ever since. So I get excited about the morning. So I wake up, I go right to a beautiful filtered, electrolyzed hydrogen water. I'm I'm obsessed with water science and the ability and the kind of celestial qualities of water. So I start that. It's a great way to kind of wake up the digestive system. I never drink cold water. It's always lukewarm, very much better for the digestive system. Then I moved to making some sort of potion because I'm a alchemist by trade. I love playing with botanicals. And so at this particular time, I'm really adding in a lot of the adaptogenic herbs. And those are things like chaga, schizandra, ashwagandha, astragalus. These kind of things, without going down the rabbit hole on each one of those, I've gotten to visit those in almost every country. These have been used from traditional Chinese medicine to Ayurveda for 10,000 years. But really an adaptogen, now more than ever, is not forcing your body into anything, but it's allowing and modulating your body's response to stress. So as we know, we have just globally, we have a level of stress that is unprecedented. So because of that, I'm slamming these things even more to assist the biological and chemical system of my body to modulate itself. So I'm playing with that elixir. It's usually some sort of warm elixir. I even use cacao at the end, which is a chocolate without sugar, which is a great feel-good superfood. It's got high magnesium, this thing called phenylethylamine, creates good feel-good serotonin effect. So super important at this day and age or right now. And then once I kind of prepare those little tonics, I then kind of move to a breathing routine. So I'm very conscious. I've been conscious breathing for about 10 years. I started doing yoga back in the day, and now I did Wim Hof, doing apnea training, but really it cuts down to focusing on the nose. And the nose breathing is so important because what it will do straight away is drop you from the sympathetic stress response and pull you into parasympathetic dominance, which will lessen and lower the stress response and the cortisol levels in your body. So literally, we're the only mammal on the planet that doesn't use our nose as a primary breather. So we need to move back into nose breathing. Great book, great little plug. Patrick McEwen, The Oxygen Advantage, goes very deep into why we need to nose breathe. So I go into a routine of about 30 breaths 3 times, all nose breathing. And I'm telling you, it's like taking a shot of not espresso, but kind of this immediate openness in your mind, preparing, even massaging the central nervous system, activating the pituitary and pineal gland. And then, of course, I go into some great stretching, light stretching, maybe 10 minutes. And then I'm really relaxed. I sit on a infrared pad, nice and warm and soothing, sit up, and I start my meditation. And there's a variety of different meditations I do and focus on. Just like you said, it can easily, your mind kind of needs something to focus on in a sense. And the breathing certainly starts that off. If I just focus on counting my breaths, then that really, really calms the mind. And then I'll focus on, a great one is, right now, I actually been this little mantra of loving myself as if my life depended on it. And I'm just going through that mantra in my mind because it's like we're just so distracted right now. And if I fill myself up and fill my cup up, and like you said, take care of my basic needs, because our survival mechanism is, am I safe? Am I good? Do I have food? Is my family good? And if I've then filled my inner self up, I'm now able to respond to maybe help other people, help society. So I really believe that. It really shows up in my life that way. So then after that beautiful meditation, I will then move into the gratitude portion of the journaling, which is just a natural, because after that state that I've created, it's just a natural succession into just gratitude and grabbing a few things that are so obvious, but sometimes we need to acknowledge the gratitude that's right along, even the weird gratitude of the internet and being connected to our friends right now, when we are not in a normal way. And it's important that we focus on what we do have right now, and what we can do right now. So yeah, so from there, the journaling will then naturally move in kind of this, aligning myself with what I'm doing. And certainly, as Tom pointed out, there's a lot of pivoting with business right now. So, maybe the 6 projects that I had, 3 are still viable, and maybe more relevant. So that's where my focus is. And so I focus myself on the new things that are occurring, but also, am I aligned with taking those actions? And that's where that journaling moves into the actionable side of creating the dream. And that dream is passionately living, lovingly living towards the things that I want to help curate in the world to make, people's lives better, healthier, and contribute to a better planet. Really, if it's not aligned with that, I'm just not interested. It's just not worth it. So from there, it really then starts to move into a true to-do list. And then after that, I'm, all the while I'm sucking on my adaptogenic herb blend. And then at a certain point, I got to get up, I got to move. And that's where in the past, I used to gather with a group of incredible guys experimenting with a lot of functional training. And now we're just kind of texting each other to see what we're doing and kind of, competitively seeing our workouts. But now I just, like today, I just luckily got to walk outside with my dog and do some sprints and do some exercise. And from there, I come back and I drink an incredible superfood blend that we need now more than ever. And that's kind of the morning, and that kind of runs me into about 9:30 or 10. Yeah.
Amazing. Let me ask you, I love it. Let me ask you I'm also an early riser. I know Tom is, but 4 a.m. is early. Like I get up at 4:45, but 4 sounds to me like the middle of the night. Is that just natural for your body?
It is now. I mean, it's there's certain times where obviously if I'm up for some reason that's out of normal, I will really push myself to try to sleep 8 hours a day. I mean, because we know even by losing, some of the reports show that even losing 1 hour of normal sleeping patterns can drop our immune system by up to 30%. So I really, let's say I was on a call late last night, even shifted me a half an hour later. So I actually slept until 4:30, which feels like I'm sleeping in, but I still was able to get that 8 hours of sleep because I didn't want to compromise on that. So it's just a practice that my body now is completely used to, and my circadian rhythm is closer. And plus I'm trying to get out in natural light. And when you're able to get out in natural light, your body's able, and get your feet on the ground, your body's able to shift into that circadian balance of, as the sun goes down, our hormonal changes start to happen. So that's a natural kind of, as that sun goes away now, I start falling asleep.
I like that you emphasize the 8 hours. So it's not that you get up early and you just cheat yourself of sleep, but you just have shifted so you go to bed very early also, because the 8 hours is really important. It's not that you're one of those super people who only sleeps 4 hours and right. You do get your good night's sleep.
100%.
2 days ago, we had JC Gossett on, and she emphasized water and hydration. So for the last 2 mornings, I added to my routine water before anything. And I do emphasize that as well. So I thought we're on a theme here that hydration is key, right?
Key. It's key. I mean, you think about our central nervous system, it's over 90% water. Our lymphatic system, which largely is creating our white blood cells, it's largely water, and on and on and on. So, the body will steal from certain areas to keep other areas hydrated. So we start to shut off the understanding that we're even thirsty and largely get confused thinking we're hungry. And 7%, which is about 25 million people in America, don't drink an ounce of water a day, right? That's astonishing. They reach for the coffee and the stimulant to wake up. One of the greatest downsides of one of the kind of the side effects of dehydration is fatigue, right? So we're confused sometimes because we want to get the energy, but we're so severely dehydrated that we've duped ourselves into reaching for the fix of the caffeine. But if you can just, I'm not saying don't love your coffee and stuff like that, but reach for that water first, start your day, get at least a quart or a liter of water before you do anything else, and train your body to receive more of that beautiful water. And your eyes and your skin and all of these other things will benefit, not to mention just having more energy.
I would add to that, like if anyone has a problem with their computer of any kind, I'm like, have you turned it on and off? Right? Works like 70% of the time. I'm the same way with water. I'm in a bad mood. I don't feel well. I have a headache. My knee hurts. Have you been drinking water? And I'm amazed at how it works for me. Amazed what water will bring to you if you stay on it. I have such a routine that my water was so clicked in with everything I was doing, and then when this all happened, it clicked out because it was the thing I grabbed that I got, and because I go out I work or I volunteer at a place, and I get there at 7, so at like 6:30 I'm on the road and my water's sitting there. Anyway, I don't need to keep going into detail, but amen on the water.
Yeah.
And then, Darin, the last thing I wanted to ask you about, and then we'll move towards wrapping up, is this functional training. I was thinking, like, I do hot yoga, like Bikram yoga, and I box. And once those 2 things closed, like I couldn't go do that, and my exercise has really fallen off. And I'm interested in what functional training is, and then now that you're isolated, like, how are you finding ways to exert yourself? It would be helpful for me.
Well, having a background in physiology and nutrition, I love getting creative for this kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, not having that place to go is tough on people. But for me, I as much as possible, I get outside, and like today, I did some sprints up the mountain, did some push-ups, I did some air squats. I found a tree and did some pull-ups. And sometimes, a lot of that functional training is compound movements, right? So you can jump down, do a burpee, do a push-up, jump in the air. There's a lot of different things. And so many people are putting incredible stuff online. So I start breaking it up in terms of like, okay, doing a little maybe cardio or long walk one day, get on the mountain bike. Luckily, I get to kind of run around here in Southern California without seeing many people. And then I'll stick to some basic moves. It doesn't have to be complex. So think about in terms of, okay, a push and a pull, right? So if I'm pushing, that's largely chest, and I'm pulling, that's largely back. So I can, there's great things that you can get. Bungee cords with handles. They cost $20. You get a variety of tensions. They have little things that you can look on for movements. But I love just kind of body weight, basic stuff. you know, lunges and squats and pull-ups and you know, presses and all of that stuff. And then kind of just move your body through sprinting and walking and stuff like that. The other important thing I will say too is it's such a, not to mention it's such an important time for developing habits, but here's what I also will say. Don't create way too much stress in your exercise right now. Because as you know, when people overdo it, what shows up? A lot of lactic acid, and that's acid. It's so much stress on the body, and then that can suppress your immune system. So you don't want to overdo it, especially if you haven't been in that habit. So think of exercise right now in kind of that moderate long-term plan, as opposed to just hammering yourself, because that could potentially leave you open to your immune system grabbing something that you obviously don't want.
Thanks, Darin. There's so much wisdom in your routine and in how you got to it and the way you describe it. I really appreciate it. And I think there were so many gems of wisdom there that will be really useful for folks. So thank you for that. So as we said, like we're open to lots of morning routines, morning practices here. I think we just want to offer them to people, and hopefully you've heard something today that you can apply or adapt in your own life. As we go to close, the last part of our practice that we're sharing is about service. And Darin, you talked about a lot, first responders and the planet. And so obviously you have a life of service as well. I just wanted to close with this suggestion for people that sometimes it's hard to serve because we feel trapped in our own dilemmas, problems, obligations. And so as you go out today to think about how you participate in the world, one suggestion would be keep track during the day of the times when you find yourself saying, I have to, or I can't, as opposed to when you feel like you're choosing to. And we can have a conversation down the road about what are the things we really have to do. But in my experience, when I start to notice, I'm saying, oh, I have to go do this. I can't get to that I've given up some power over my day and some control over, there's a lot of things out of our control, but there are many things, how I respond to each moment in the day is really within my control. And the habit of saying, I can't, I have to, it gives away our power. And a lot of these morning practices are about starting our day off by taking responsibility for ourselves and our day and feeling the power we have as agents of change and goodness in the world, and the observation just throughout the day. Oh, why do I drop into the can't and have to place? I want to be in the I choose to space. So today, as we go out in the world, just urge people to think about what's on my have to list and what's on my choose to list. And the more time you spend in choose to, likely the more in control of your day and more generous in your service you'll find yourself. So thanks, everyone. Thanks so much.
Just before you go,
yeah, go ahead.
Can I mention one thing?
Yeah.
So I do the journal, and in the journal I have my daily. I read these every day, and I do it random. Whichever side comes up, that's the one I read because they're different. But at the bottom of both sides, it says in bold letters, "I don't have to, I get to." It makes such a big difference because I can dread days, and it's stupid to dread days. Like you just got to do it, and I get to do it. Yeah. Anyway, I'm praising your point.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Darin. It was great to have you on. Look forward to seeing you again soon. Tom, good to be with you as well. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you again soon.